Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Tattva Tuesday. This is Lindsay Warwick, the conduit on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. Super excited to have my guest here today, Chris Novosel, Divine Warrior. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Good to see
Going
you
great.
too.
Happy Saturday to you.
Yeah, happy Saturday, but this is airing on Tuesday, so no
All
worries.
right.
No worries there. We've been trying to do this for like months, right? And then like
Yeah,
the timing of things, life has happened and all the things. So I'm super excited that you're here with me.
absolutely. Yes. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I know we were talking about this before I started recording, but let's talk about your background. Your heart of a wolf, soul of a dragon. Like what is that? What is that to you? Tell the people.
So, yeah, so this is my garage that it's always been my dream to just be able to have my own like space, gym kind of deal. And so when we got this new house, I pretty much have been working on it for years. To just get everything I want in it. We're sitting. I've got dumbbells and squat rack and all that stuff here. But when I was kind of creating this space, obviously with kids and my wife and family and all that stuff, there's tons of things that can creep in here. So I wanted to have like it blocked out essentially. And as I was like thinking, I was like, oh, let's put some curtains across, and I was able to get a couple customized with what I always was going to call my gym, which is the Novo Dome, part of my last name. But um, and then also my kind of tagline, which is inspired to dominate. And so I was able to get those created. But then when I was looking for other curtains, I just came upon this one. There's a cool website that has it, and it really spoke to me just of what I feel and kind of who I am. So it's just like a cool curtain to kind of put here in the background. So
Hell yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. And I think that the Nova Dome, that's super creative and cool. And yeah, we'll get into all the things. So I guess we'll start. This is a spiritual interview series where I interview people about their spiritual journey first, and then we kind of like shoot off from there. So would love to hear about your spiritual journey and your conception of like source or God, whatever you call it.
yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Just a light question.
Yeah, well, I love it, and it's definitely something I'm passionate to talk about when it comes up. But because I can easily draw a line in the sand too of kind of when things started for me as well. But really, I definitely um, identify with Christian. I grew up Christian, grew up Methodist. Kind of laid back. Um, but I've also, as I've gotten older, I've allowed that to just expand for me in my own way. It's I don't know how I would define that, and really, it's not like I'm stuck to any certain uh, Christian belief or Catholic or any Catholicism or anything like that. But I definitely feel um, Christianity, Jesus, God, a part of me. But I also find myself expanding in many other ways, being curious about other beliefs, and with my wife Chelsea, who's very into a lot of other different religions and learning about them and educating me on them. I love to really explore all, and pay attention to my gut, what feels good. But um, and at the same time, I believe that most of us can agree there's something bigger than us. There's a higher power.
Mhm.
uh, we can claim to know what that is, or a lot of different things. But I think, we can all at least agree there's something bigger than us outside of this body, outside of this world, um, that is just this energy, this force that we want to continue to be able to expand on and expand, once our bodies deceased, be able to expand past that. So I'm continuing to explore that. And I think um, just becoming the best person that I can and continuing to dig deep into what that is, I'll continue to be able to, I guess, find out what that is for me at different points in my life. So,
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I have to agree with you. I think that, most of us have a conception of something bigger than ourselves. That's the whole basis of, what inspired me to do this podcast. And it's like, I've talked to so many people at this point, and it's like all of us have a belief, and that also like proves to me this concept of connection and oneness, and that like we are all individuals, but we're also very similar and mirrors of each other and such. But you did
Yeah.
mention that there was a moment that you could draw a line in the sand. So I'm curious about what that moment was for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, so I'm 35, I'll be 36 in August. And
We're both halfway to 70.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just had your birthday, right? That's awesome.
good.
You're older than me, Lindsay. I didn't realize that.
And wiser. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
even if you weren't older than me, usually women are wiser anyway. So
Okay, bless. I hear that. That's
you
right.
know,
You're
in
a
different
smart
ways.
man. Chelsea, yeah, she taught you well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so when I was 30, I just we without getting too deep into it, we moved in a bunch of places. And when we made one of our moves down to South Florida, um, it was a new career, trying to, I guess find myself, find my career, as we picked up and moved where we were stable essentially, and started moving south. And in figuring that out, there was just a lot of different trials and tribulations, and finding careers and the right place for us and our family and everything. So when we got down to the Boca Raton, Florida, just a lot of things happened, um, career wise, just being like stable and all the, figuring out what really are we meant to be doing here. And I think with all of that disruption just created me to realize, man, there's a lot of things about myself that only I kind of know that is kind of hurting or maybe struggling with. And I don't really understand why. Maybe I feel insecure, or maybe I'm struggling with some of these things, but I know that I want to face them, and I started looking into different things. I actually looked into, what's his name? Tony Robbins, his coaching programs. And I remember talking to a coach, and at the end of it, it's like, without, trying to put anything bad on their program, I'm sure it's great, but it was just it wasn't something financially that was going to make sense. It was kind of expensive. And
Mhm.
and I remember Chelsea saying, well, that's not the only way to be able to do this. And, I just started listening to podcasts, and I
Yeah.
discovered Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. And Andy Frisella is, if you don't know him, he's a pretty popular podcaster, has a
Yeah.
bunch of businesses. Yeah. So, can somewhat be controversial, but at the same time, that's why I love him, because he hits things head on. But he has this program called 75 Hard. Um, and
Oh, I know that
Oh yeah, you know
program.
all about that, right? So it all started with 75 hard, but
Oh,
I am not doing 75 hard at the moment. So but it's one of those programs, as that just, which we can dig deeper into that, but it just intrigues you. It makes you want to go after it and give it a shot, because it allows us to get out of our comfort zone. That's what I realized. I was in a comfort zone, and I was kind of living a certain way, but also was masking things. And um so I started doing that. And just as I started doing that, eating right, drinking water, working out more, my mind just started thinking a lot more and digging deeper. So I think that's probably the line, is just when I started that, when we were down there in Boca Raton 5 years ago, or almost six now.
so that's amazing. And I have attempted 75 hard like 3 times. And let's just tell the listeners, the viewers, like what 75 hard is. So it is
Yeah.
75 consecutive days, no alcohol, follow a diet that is not specified. You choose your diet, right?
Hmm.
Read 10 pages of a nonfiction book a day, drink a gallon of water a day, and two 45-minute workouts, one inside and one outside, no matter what the weather is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. You hit them all.
Yeah, I have the app on my phone. I really tried this like three
Yeah.
times, and the second time I like got sick and couldn't continue. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
What's the furthest you got day wise?
um I probably did it the furthest was like around a month, like
Okay. Yeah.
30 days, which is pretty good. Oh yeah, you also have to take a progress picture every
Yeah.
day.
I was like, I knew there was something missing.
There
Yeah.
was something
Progress picture.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Progress. Then that one will get you too. So
that one will get you. For me,
yeah.
it was, just I feel like I could probably complete the program now that I'm not in the matrix anymore. But when I was
Yeah.
working my full-time job and traveling, and it was really difficult for me to complete that. But just like
Absolutely.
Andy Frischella says, like, y'all can make excuses all you want, or you just fucking get it done. And yeah,
Exactly.
I've seen, Chelsea has, promoted that program as well, and just I've seen a couple people do it and completely shift their lives. So
Yeah.
maybe I need that right now. Maybe that's why we're talking about
Well, and at the end of the day, I think we all can get there certain ways. I think that's just a surefire one that's probably the quickest, most effective, and it's essentially free, but it's really basic things that we all can probably agree on that are good for us. And there's definitely people that'll challenge it, saying, "Oh, unhealthy, all the water, the workouts." But again, you can, when you actually do it, you understand the reason behind it because you kind of discover deeper self. I changed my relationship with alcohol with that, changed my relationship with food and
it.
how I do that and everything. And I right now in my current state, I'm like you before, like I do not know how I would do it. Because it takes me like 2 hours to get my daughters to bed um, and if I'm doing that and trying to walk after work, that's usually what it was. That was really the challenge.
Yeah.
So, I learned a lot from it, but at the same time, I think you just got to, really quiet your mind, look at yourself. Hey, what things can I start implementing that are going to align with my life? And, 75 hard could be it, or it could just be, I always point people to another thing that he talks about, which is a power list. And, it's pretty much, it could be 3 to 5 things that you write down every single day, which is what I'm doing again this year. But that essentially you would accomplish every one of those tasks to win your day. And it's, things that are aligned with what you're trying to accomplish.
Heck yeah. And I think the whole point of the program is like discipline and consistency, which I
Hmm.
will admit sometimes that is a challenge for me because I'm
Yep.
so like, I can be super fluid and, and flowy. And so, yeah, also felt like 75 hard put me like right into my masculine energy because it's so
Yep.
like, boom, boom. There's no, like, and I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, because I've been on this shamanic priestess path. So I was trying to cultivate more of my feminine energy. And I felt like that was, but I think it's amazing. I think any form of discipline or just goal setting, or I feel like I get a lot more done when I create a list. Like I even created a to-do list for today. Um, like it's like those habits that make you successful. Like I like to make my bed every day. Like I can't get shit done in a messy space. You know what I mean? So there's all the
Absolutely.
things that we do to stay on track.
I
So
think it's also different for a man and a woman doing it. It's like you just said, the masculine and feminine energies
yeah.
natural, but then also the opposite energies creeping in. So um, I definitely couldn't understand, but I also doing it next to your partner, doing it next, with Chelsea did it with me after the second year because we did it like 3 years straight, and she did it with me after the second year. And there's definitely moments where we were conflicted because we just had different experiences doing it. Um, and she's flowy as well, so she,
Oh yeah.
I think, and that's pretty much every woman, right? You're flowy, so that's
Yeah.
similar, I guess naturally, but I think it definitely different experience for both women and men, and think it's just cool to hear everyone's journey, even with yours too. They say it takes 21 days to instill a habit, so I think that still probably instilled some great things into you doing it
Oh
when you.
yeah. I like if I find myself being super fluey, right? Or flowy, fluid. I just created a word. I
There
just
you
made up a
go.
word. I do go back to some of those principles for me it's always coming back to discipline, because I can be like, oh, but today I feel like this. Like that's just how I am. So that is a great practice to come back to. So I'm
Absolutely.
glad that we're talking about that. But let's talk about the men's group that you've started here in this community, because I think it's fucking amazing. So let's talk about that. Like, how did that come about? What's the name of it? All the things that you want to share about
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
it.
Yeah, it's something, going back to when I started my journey and really digging into myself, just, again, we're talking about man and woman. We both, I think, deal with different things with our natural energies. And as I continue to just address every honest thing in the mirror for myself, there was a lot of things that I was able to break through, or at least understand and be honest about, and give myself grace, but also be accountable to work through. And
Mhm.
as I did that, and I would just, so it's, I would say 5 years of that work about, and just really understanding, looking at these things in the mirror as a man. And, I was like, I have a show now, which I'm sure we'll talk about that,
Yeah, I
which I
wanted to talk about that next.
yeah, absolutely. So I
Yeah.
started that like 2 years ago. So I've just continued as I've started digging into myself, my passions, my missions started to become more clear. Um, and so I started to, be like, I really want to help more men and be able to be a part of that. And Chelsea, who's involved in the goddess circles and connected with Leah and all that, which is kind of cool. When the men's circle pretty much was created because our wives and women helped bring us men, a couple of us men together. Um,
Hmm.
and so she was able to help us connect because there was other guys that had different journeys, but similar, we wanted to do similar things. So we kind of got together. As you know, most of them Hance,
Hmm.
um, Chris Dumas, and then a fellow named Josh, who's kind of like a nomad, but an awesome person. And I think he's in like, I don't even know where he's at now, but he was a part of the beginning of it. And every time when he comes back to Myrtle Beach, he comes around. But so yeah, there was a couple of us that initially started the conversation, and then we just kind of started having the gatherings and decided on just doing them every other Thursday night. So it's been September of this year will be 2 years. So just
Wow. Yeah.
year and a half. So
That's amazing. And it's called Reverence.
it's called Reverence.
So why
Yep.
did y'all choose that name?
So Hance, when we had our first meeting, essentially we were like, well, what is this? What are we going to call this? And that was kind of his thinking, and and really it just made sense to do that. So we had our first meeting. We had talked about, hey, what do we want to call it? And we all pretty much agreed. So it was pretty simple. A bunch of guys coming up with a name.
Okay.
Yeah,
No big you know, brainstorming session. It just all worked out. So that's
exactly.
cool. And what kind of like things do you do in the group?
So yeah, and this is important too, because I also feel as we continue to grow, that so many men hear about what we're doing, or they hear men's gathering or men's circles, and I still, I love to dig deeper on what guys feel when they hear it or find out about it. But you know, to get somebody or a guy to disclose that sometimes is hard, because that's the reason why they're not coming. So but they hear men's gatherings and they might have had a bad experience with church groups, or hear men's gatherings and they're just like unsure and very uneasy feelings. And that's, there's some that I know have kind of taken their time to get there, but essentially we just really flowed into that. So I guess that would be our feminine energy in that, is we didn't have necessarily structure, because I had talked about that in the beginning, because that's kind of how I am. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I've learned to slow down, having certain expectations and things, and really learning to just let things flow and become. And that's kind of what we did. We just didn't instill a whole ton of specific structure in the beginning, but we essentially have people host at their houses who are able to do it every other Thursday, and then essentially allow them to pick the theme. And a lot of times it really involves some meditation, somewhat of just silence or just breathing a lot of times. And there's a lot of gifted brothers that are able to take us deeper into some of their meditation practices, which is super awesome. And then we'll do somewhat of an activity together usually. And then we end up circling up usually around a fire. Some of the activities that we've done to explain that, which are super fun. We've done like, at my house, we did like lightsaber battles one time where we're circled up with the lightsabers, and it allowed us to experience just having fun and releasing without responsibility. We've done cold plunges, breath work, like experiences at a what is it, Jan's Retreat Center.
I was gonna say at Jan's.
Yes, it's a Jan's Retreat Center, which is amazing, Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
We did a camp. We're gonna try to do these yearly now. We did one camping trip last year. And one real cool thing about that I'll share, we actually, the first night we did Hans brought out a bunch of kayaks and paddle boards, put glow sticks on our necks, and we all took them out at night on the Waccamaw River. There was like 15 of us in the middle of the Waccamaw, pitch dark. And we ended up at one point all linking up and like just linking together and sitting there and laying down with our eyes closed and doing a meditation in the middle of the Waccamaw. So when I look back at it, we're like, man, it's, the next day, Saturday, you see boats zooming by and everything. And that Friday night is just wild how, the universe and God allowed us to experience that, because no distractions, nothing happened in that moment. And we were just able to experience that. So it was really cool to be a part of that and create that for others. So, but yeah, that's some of the things that we do activity wise. And then we always try to create a safe space where we circle up and allow brothers to share where they're at, if they feel like sharing, or, or even just listen and not have to be pressured to share. It's really where every person that comes, wherever they're at. So we try to create a space for that as well.
I think it's amazing because I think it kind of, I guess that, I think we're in 2023 now where men are allowed to be vulnerable and communicative and share and all this, but there's still probably some stigma like of, oh, I'm a man. And I'm not a man. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, like I can't share. I can't have feelings. I can't open up. I'm not supposed to do that. And so I think that you guys creating this group, it like breaks the stigma, you know what I mean? And encourages men to like embrace who they are and allow themselves to really have a safe space to heal. Because that's like what it sounds like it's really all about. And I think I think it's amazing. And I know that a part of your bio, you speak about like divine masculine or healthy masculine energy. And like I said, I'm not a man, so I want to hear it like from you. Like, what does that mean? And I've watched you, I've known you and Shells for, I don't know, almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And just been around you and your girls and just watching you as a father and how you tend to like your girls is so important. So I would love for you to kind of talk about like, what does that mean? Like healthy, divine masculine and like, yeah, if you want to share about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And divine obviously is connected to God, and it's just we are beings of God, and that's when I think of with divine is just, okay, I'm here on this earth, I'm a being of God. That was created, and I want to be able to utilize this vehicle, this body, to expand that energy the best way that I can. So when I'm put on this earth and I become a husband, I became a son, a brother, so many things when I was born. And then as I got older, I became a husband, father, brother, neighbor, all these things. And, I can either coast on autopilot and just be a physical being and just kind of not really reach my full potential that I was put here to do, or I can really just feel into that, slow down, and just try to understand what that means for me without having to explain it. Just live it. Hey, what do you feel internally that your purpose is and that you're about? And at the same time, accepting all of me and everything about me, either way. So I think that's assertiveness and taking ownership of your being, but at the same time allowing feminine energies to come through, and even just, who cares if it's masculine or feminine, just allowing energy to come through, and be about that, feel what that is, and just allow yourself to be vulnerable. Because if we're fighting vulnerability, really we're not able to expand into our full being because we're holding stuff in. And typically that's what we as men do, because of, I think just part of our nature. We're meant to serve and protect, and parts of us, and just really be leaders. But at the same time, we're never really taught how to feel or let certain emotions come through, be okay, and face them. We just kind of let them build up, and then they create more of an evil being, or a being that we don't want to become.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the more that you like you said, like if you're not vulnerable or opening up, then you're basically just holding on to old energy and causing, just from an energy standpoint, you're causing blockages. And then yeah, you're preventing your own expansion and your own growth and your own capacity to love yourself and forgive yourself and love others and forgive others. So yeah, I think it's amazing, and I think the best thing that you could possibly be doing is just being that, and then other men can kind of sense that frequency or the vibration, and then yeah, that would inspire them to excuse me, to be vulnerable and communicative and open. And yeah, so I think it's amazing, and I think that you doing that as well as like doing the healing work on yourself, and then that's going to cultivate really healthy relationships with your daughters, and I think, and with Shells of course, and I think that that's super super important and amazing.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think too, just to paint that picture for men as well, and I speak from my my lifestyles. Obviously, I'm married to a woman and have kids. Not everybody is always that. I say some people have different living situations or don't always have that, or some men are just alone. But no matter where your scenario is, having a space to come and speak to at least other beings that are men and share that. Because even if you cross paths with people, you don't have a partner, but you cross paths with people, you're not man or woman, you're not necessarily going to be able to share the way that you can when you come to spaces like this. And if you are in a relationship with a woman, and you have that wife that supports you and you share with her, that's great. But even still, there's that they're going to be supportive as they can and as they know how to be, but it's not the same understanding, because you're male and female, and so you have different perspectives of things. So I think the one thing we just see with the men's gathering is just like there is like an acceptance and a connection to where it's like, man, they truly understand what I'm going through or what I'm trying to work through without even having to say anything. And it's just this energy, this unexplainable energy that you can't create. And and that's why I would say what would be important to, try to find, come to these spaces if you live in Myrtle Beach, to ours. And I even say to people that create your own, like I want to be an advocate for people to feel like they can do it tomorrow. There's a lot of this stuff's coming up more. You got Sacred Sons, which is a popular one as well, and pretty cool men's gatherings and things that I follow. But there's so many around you, and if they're not around you, you can create them yourself. You gotta start that journey, and you gotta to allow yourself to be open. And I think that's really the key.
Well, I think it's amazing, and I'm glad that you started doing that. I remember like the first time that I saw that you were doing it, I was like, wow, that's amazing, and I think it's inspiring. So
Thank you.
Yes. Yay. Good job. Yeah, so talking about inspiration here, like your little hashtag behind you is inspired to dominate. Now that goes in conjunction with your Clubhouse show, or that's something that you created before your Clubhouse show? Because I know that you're on Clubhouse, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I mean that essentially just as I was going on my journey and trying to figure out and put myself and my what quote unquote brand out there more, and really the purpose of just being able to be myself and create a space for people in my everyday being to be able to start their journey as well. It just kind of thought of things that came up for me, like what is kind of explains my journey. And then, I wanted to podcast for a while. And then as I was trying to, as just trying to get it started.
Yeah.
If I do, right now I'm good with Clubhouse, but there's part of me that does want to do a podcast, but I got other things I'm working on as well. But it just Clubhouse came up as I was wanting to start this podcast, and the Inspired to Dominate tagline, I guess, has been, something in my head and a part of me for a while now. So when I just committed and decided to start a show, I just said, I'm going to start a show on Clubhouse. This is the best time I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then I just created that, essentially in Clubhouse, just explain that for anybody that doesn't know it. It's an audio only app that essentially anybody can pretty much create rooms, what they call them, or spaces and put a title on it and talk about anything. I mean, you got people that talk about, there's like people that do dating rooms in there, they do politic rooms, news, all kinds of different rooms, inspirational rooms, obviously. And, and you can go in and you kind of listen to people and see if they align with your message as well. But so you can listen, but there's a stage you can go up and speak. And, I always say it's like networking on steroids, because it's people from all over the country that you would never have the opportunity to meet. And I've connected with so many people through Clubhouse without ever meeting them, but you can feel that energy and connect with people naturally. And it's been super cool. And so, with my club and room that I do it every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I've been doing that for now 2 years. So,
Wow.
one of the things, again, I instilled in myself is if I commit to something, I'm going to stay consistent, not let anything outside disrupt that. Sometimes it's challenging with schedules and things and all that, but, I've got support now through people I've met that can help with the show. And so, yeah, we've done it consistently for 2 years, and just continue to expand it. When I first started, there was, maybe 10, 15 people that would show up. And, now you have someone, it could be anywhere from 100 to 200.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, it's cool. But I think the coolest thing, I don't even try to pay attention to the numbers. And one of the things that still keeps me going is in anything that you do, I think if you just focus on impacting one person at a time,
100%.
that's really if you impact one person, which I have done through the show, I don't need to, there's no other reason to
Yes.
not do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly how I feel, because I had someone ask me the other day, like, "Oh, can you see the metrics of who listens to your podcast?" And I was like, "Probably, but I
yeah,
don't care." I'm like, "I don't care. I've gotten great feedback, and yeah, if it just influences somebody, then, or if I've helped one person, like I've always said that, like, I don't need recognition, or I don't care about that. I just care that I am living my dharma, my soul's purpose, and helping people. And if I inspire just one person or help one person, like, yeah, that feels good. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, what's the format of your show then? Are you interviewing? Are you just talking about a different topic? Like, what is the format of that?
Yeah, so I mean, typically the format is I'll come up with a topic, or even somebody may have brought it up in the room in the past, and pretty much create that topic. And just it's usually vulnerable, authentic, usually challenges people, because that's just, if it's something I'm doing in my own life and then I create a room about it, it just allows people. I think this will bring people in because you talk about just real stuff. I'll look up some
Mhm.
titles or remember some of them. But yeah, most of the format is typically, I'll open up with a song because you try to bring people into the room, and then I kind of have like an opening. I welcome people in. We have core values for the room, which I'm big about, so we really speak those into the room every single time. And then whatever the topic is, I usually have some kind of intro to get people's minds going, and then open it up for others to add into the topic and their thoughts and experiences with it, or ask questions and things like that. So that's the typical format, but also, started doing some interview formats at the end of last year with a lot of people I met in Clubhouse. And then just as I go, I'll instill some, which is interesting that you say that, because actually for tomorrow's show, I'm doing an interview tomorrow, which I'm really excited. That one's going to be fun. Another thing I'm about is really eating right, shaking the hand of the people that produce or raise your food essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I buy all my, which we can talk about that too, but buy
Mm-hmm.
all my meat from direct from farmers, and I'm really passionate about that. So the person we'll be interviewing is the chicken, egg, and lamb farmer that I've built a relationship with, and we're gonna dive into just the importance of regenerative farming and kind of his experience with it and what people should know. So
Well, that's amazing. I need to like download Clubhouse and just check it out. Like I've been told about this for probably the last 2 years, and I just haven't. I'm like, like I never even downloaded TikTok. Like I was just like,
yeah,
it's just another app, you know what I mean? But
yes,
I've been told that Clubhouse is pretty amazing, and it's like, yeah, anyone from anywhere can come on or whatever. So I think that's really cool that you're getting your voice out there in that way too.
definitely. Thank you. Yeah, and you definitely got to pick your apps, I think, so we don't get in. I can help you too when you get in there. Don't be pulled into the Clubhouse matrix, because now with Instagram and TikTok, you got the scrolling. With Clubhouse, you especially when it came out in 2020, when people didn't have connection, it really blew up because people weren't able to really speak. So it just became big right away. But you can get, I remember just jumping from room to room, and you can kind of somewhat feel stuck, and then all of a sudden, hours go by and you're in different rooms. But definitely an important one to go and pick certain, kind of play around, figure out your spaces and rooms that kind of align, and set boundaries like anything, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's awesome. And congrats on your success on that, like that people come in and pay attention. And I think it's amazing. You're doing amazing things for the community and for yourself, you know what I mean? And people around you.
Thank you.
So, did you want to talk about, I guess, sustainable eating? I know you mentioned that, or is
Yeah.
there anything else that you would like to talk about? Like, I don't know, relationship stuff, or I don't know, sacred relationships stuff.
No, I definitely don't let me coach on relationships.
Okay.
I no, I think I just, when I think of people that coach relationships, I'm like, man, I just would not want to do that, because
No,
there's
because everyone's
no
different.
perfect. Yeah, exactly. And
I
it's
thought
just,
about having you and Chelsea on at the same time. Like, I was like, that'd be so great. Maybe
oh
next
gosh,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'd be a good duo to talk together, but relationships are, you're two people with different energies flowing all the time. It's funny. I just saw a video the other day that was like explaining, like, men have 24-hour cycles, and obviously women's cycles, change all the time, but they were saying there's 30 days, obviously. Uh, so you take that and you think about combining two, there's just going to be a lot of flowing energy. So you got to, in a very busy world with so much to distract us and pull us away from the things that we're here to do, it just becomes hard. So I feel for a lot of people that are trying to find themselves, trying to keep up with life, keep up with your family, um, pay the bills, do all the things you got to do, and also keep your relationship strong. And it's not easy, but um, it's no one ever said it was easy and it's not perfect, but I think if you start with yourself, you'll just figure out a lot of things and at least be able to continue to come back to a grounding spot even when things get difficult, no matter, where you're at in life or any parts of your life. So I think
Heck
that's
yeah.
important.
I want to know, wait, so men go through a 24-hour cycle? Like, what do you mean? What is that?
Like the way that they were explaining it, I'll explain the best I can, but it's just that when we, like, our testosterone and things are super high when we wake up. And, for me, I'm an early bird, so I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. Chelsea might get up 6:30, 6:30. So I'm already 3 hours into my day,
Oh my God.
and then I'm working out. So you add even more, and I'm, taking down protein and coffee. So, all that stuff also included. My testosterone, my energy levels are super high. But I think it's cool when you can slow down and really understand how your energies flow through the day like that. I understand how I work. Like, I'm the most creative. And I've heard this too, like certain times of the day, that's when you really want to, put that time in to create, because that's when your mind is going to be flowing the most fluidly and be able to kind of download those ideas that are coming through. So, but yes, and then essentially that's what they're saying is just like the cycle is high energy throughout the day. And it somewhat makes sense. And then you get to the end of the day and our levels definitely drop, and you know, we're more likely to just want to, no disruptions, not a lot of energy, not a lot of creation, and just be able to slow down. And sometimes that's hard when you got other things going on, or my situation, family and stuff. So it's something to be aware of. So that's what they mean by that. But I think I would love to understand women's more. I don't know. I'll try my best, but they definitely change all the time,
All the time.
daily too. So depending on what's going on. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
that's why they're beautiful. I love it.
Yay. Yeah, it's super fluid, and yeah, it is. Sometimes it's fun and spontaneous and
Yeah.
yeah. And my partner over here is just making comments, but no worries. He's like shaking his head, yeah, as you're talking about
Oh
like
yeah.
your cycle of the day. He's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's cool as a man when you actually hear these things and you're like, man, I didn't realize other men were willing to speak about this or be open about it. And I think that's what's important.
Heck yeah. Well, when you speak about it and you're open about it, they're like, oh, I can be open and speak about it. So
Absolutely.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. And just, it's been awesome just chatting with you, like, about all the things that you're about and what you're doing. Is there anything else? Because I think we're coming up on almost an hour. I don't know. Time,
Lose track of time. We're having
what
fun.
is time? Time isn't real, but is there anything else that you want to share? Like, I don't know, maybe about like maybe fatherhood a little bit if you want.
I mean, I think really, well, we had brought up diet and health. I'll just cover that quick. I think when,
Okay.
I think for everybody, the main just message would be wherever you're at in life is just to try to sit with yourself in silence, try to ask yourself important questions. One big thing that I try to promote to people sometimes if they're trying to figure that out is asking, one of the things I did in my journey in the past was I journaled a lot. I don't necessarily journal as much right now, but I journal a lot at certain points. But I always ask, or there was a point where I asked myself, who am I every day? And I would write that down and I would answer the question for 3 minutes. Um, and that's one thing, I mean, I would say for anybody, man or woman, to do that, because if you're in silence, you're in a place of just truly addressing that and thinking that the things that come out and go on that paper are going to be super powerful stuff. Mine, I just think sometimes you just start with your childhood. So mine started there and naturally just had tears flowing, but it was super releasing. And then every day I would continue to do it. I would expand on what it meant, or who I was. And in that too, things come up. Okay, who you are, but who do you actually feel like you want to be inside, and are you aligning with that your day in and day out? And I think when people can really just, it ain't going to be perfect, but when you can actually strive for that and just try to be your best self and really understand who that is, it's just super powerful. And then anything else just, it's still going to be hard, but it becomes somewhat more manageable to deal with. And now all of a sudden, this control that you have over your life is different. You don't need substance. You don't need a lot of these other things that can steal your energy. And, that's really what I think I would want for people. And then also within that, you start, there's other things, body movement, exercise, really just starting to dig when you're creating those creative moments for yourself, dig into food and what's best for your body. Everybody's different, but also, most of us go to the grocery store. So I think, I just challenge people to do your research on foods in the grocery store, even if it's not processed foods, even the meats and the produces, and how that what's allowed with those products, and just try to challenge yourself and possibly find somebody that you trust that can make that and do it locally. And I think the more we support local purchasing, local eating, a lot of things, we can start to see a change in our society that I think we all would want to see. I think most of us can agree that we're not necessarily fully happy with the way our society is, but if we want to start make changes, we got to take those small steps in our own lives. And it starts with yourself, starts with, being honest with yourself and others, and then also just creating and expanding within your community and supporting them in it. So, that would be my essential message to anybody that's, maybe pushing back on any, men's work, eating clean, just any of this stuff, being inspired to be your best self. I would just challenge people to do that. And I want to continue to help people do that as well, and be a light for that. So
yeah, I think that's, it's amazing. And it just got me thinking about how like your journey started where like you wanted to like hire a coach essentially, or like get some coaching. And now your advice is to just sit with yourself, because that's really where all the answers are, right? Or when we sit down with ourselves. And yeah, the eating thing, like, creating, a clean vessel, clean conduit for, yeah, like for our meat sack is important as well. Like how body the meat sacks. So
I like that. Hey, I ain't got nothing wrong with that, obviously, but
yeah. So yeah, awesome. Great messages, like great conversation today. If people want to listen to your Clubhouse or join Reverence or contact you, do you want to talk about how they can do that before we close out?
yeah, definitely. So, but you can reach out to me. Best way to would probably be Instagram. My Instagram handle is Chris N Novo, CHRIS, and then another NOVO. So that's a good way to find me. Instagram, shoot me. I'm always open and to talk to anybody really, as long as obviously they're open to learn, or I'm always trying to learn from others as well. If you want to come in the Clubhouse, you just need to download the app, get in there. You can find me, just Chris Novosel in there, and then also the club is Inspired to Dominate. So once you find that club, you'll then see when the shows are coming up every Sunday. And same thing with Reverence. We have a Facebook group. So you can find the Facebook group in there in Reverence. That's one way. We actually did just create a Discord as well. So we're, just expanding that. It's just a better way to communicate and have more brothers involved that may or may not be able to come to the meetings. But yeah, you pretty much find me, and anything that you're interested in that, it can connect you to whatever avenue works. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I found this conversation to be super amazing and inspiring, and I'm sure the listeners and viewers will feel the same way. So, thank you so much for being here.
awesome. Thanks so much, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and everybody have a great week.